Former Hawaii Congresswoman and former 2020 presidential candidate herself, Tulsi Gabbard, joins me. Nice to see you, Congresswoman. And my head's almost spinning
nice to
because,
see you, Greta.
as we're trying to look at politics, now we've got this escalating problem in the Middle East. You're a vet. What do you think about the fact that we're sending a small number of troops to the Middle East, and Britain is telling its nationals to get out of Lebanon?
Yeah, Greta, as you know, I still serve as a soldier today. It's been over 21 years since I first enlisted, like many Americans, because of the terrorist attack on 9/11. So when we hear announcements being made that more troops are going to the Middle East, the very first place that my mind goes is, well, the most important responsibility that any president has is to serve as commander-in-chief. And we can't forget the fact that Vice President Harris, who is running for president and asking us to trust her as commander-in-chief, doesn't seem to be aware at all that we have currently, before this announcement was made, over 40,000 of our troops already deployed to the Middle East. She said in that debate, we have not a single active duty soldier serving in a combat zone anywhere in the world today. This responsibility lies in the hands of the commander-in-chief to decide when and where our men and women in uniform serve and go into harm's way. And the very first question that must be asked and answered before embarking on any such mission is, what is our objective? What are we trying to accomplish? What is our purpose? And what does, quote unquote, winning look like? This has been a problem with many administrations over the last 20 years where they haven't done this most basic analysis before deploying our troops into harm's way. So I got to tell you, I have not seen from this administration, the Harris-Biden administration, what is the objective for our troops to be in many of these countries in the Middle East. It appears that maybe they're sending more troops now to help those who are already there, the over 40,000 who are already there. It is a huge problem, and I say this as an American, as a soldier, as a veteran who's deployed to different war zones in different parts of the world. It is a dangerous consequence being set up to have leadership and the president and commander-in-chief who has not clearly identified what is the mission, what does it look like to accomplish that mission, and what is the exit strategy. And it seems like this administration is reacting once again without a clear idea of what the mission is and, quite frankly, what the strategy is to accomplish that.
As I said, that my head's almost spinning. There's so many issues on the board to talk about in terms of the election, whether it's immigration, the economy, inflation, and now, of course, this. But in the end, when you look at the polls, is that these candidates are neck and neck, and so they're both trying to get those so-called undecided or independents. So how, I know you've endorsed former President Trump. So what's the strategy for President Trump to get that category?
Really, it's continuing to expose the truth about Kamala Harris that the propaganda media and her friends in big tech are trying to cover up. She's projecting herself as this image that the pollsters around her have created that they think will be most likely to earn the votes of the American people. But it is the exact opposite in almost every way from who she actually is and her radical and destructive record that she's had just over these last 4 years. We can go farther back, but really she is the incumbent in this race. And whether we're talking about higher cost of living, greater economic hardship for Americans, we're talking about the crisis at the border that you brought up. She's trying to now somehow remake her image with regards to the tens of millions of Americans who have crossed, the tens of millions of illegal immigrants who have crossed into our country because of Kamala Harris's failures as vice president. We can talk about more of our domestic policies, the high cost of energy, and of course the fact that we are currently embroiled in multiple wars around the world and closer to the brink of World War III and nuclear war. Kamala Harris is responsible for the devastating effects of the Harris-Biden policies over these last 4 years. No matter how hard she tries to run away from it, no matter how much she insults the intelligence of the American people, really exposing that truth and that contrast between her failures and President Trump's successes over his 4 years in office from 2016 on. This is the message that we're working very hard to get to voters who are still undecided in this race and who are thinking about what is in the best interest of themselves and their families and this country.
Right. Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, thank you. And of course, it's a very dynamic world and a dynamic race,
Always great to
and
see
so
you,
much
Greta.
is at
Thank
stake. Nice to see you.